My name is Sandra Malloy. I'm the Clinical Laboratory Manager at Capital Pathology, located in Canberra, Australia. I'm responsible for the day-to-day operations of the Clinical Diagnostics Department. Capital Pathology is a private laboratory located in Deakin, Canberra. We currently service the ACT community and surrounds. We are a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation. We currently service 6 private hospitals, one of those hospitals having a large cardiac unit. So turnaround time and accuracy is really important in our service delivery to our clients. The Sonic mission is what we try and strive for every day. So we want to be the most chosen pathology provider within the community that we serve. We currently process about 2,500 episodes per day. These episodes will be a mix of our serum work along with microbiology, molecular, haematology, blood banking, histology and cytology.
My name is Matthew Long. I'm a Senior Scientific Officer at Capital Pathology, located in Canberra, Australia. I oversee the automation track and Alinity systems that are in use in the Clinical Diagnostics division. I have a role within Sonic Pathology Australia of assisting other laboratories with their GLP tracks of similar sizes.
We are currently operating the Abbott Alinity CI systems. We have had these instruments for approximately 12 months. We chose the GLP and Alinity system because we thought it would help us go forward with our business and the changing environment that pathology is currently in. With the GLP system, we are able to add additional modules or additional instruments to the track system. If there's new technologies in the future, we'll be able to actually put those on fairly easily as well. We hope that our laboratory grows in the future by using the GLP system to further enhance our customer delivery and gaining more of a market share. We are also hoping that some of the private hospitals in the area can expand, and we'll be able to help them and provide them with the service delivery as well. Probably the biggest improvement that we've seen with the GLP track since we have had it for the last 12 months is it has improved our hospital service delivery. We have been able to improve our turnaround times to the private hospitals, and it has streamlined a lot of our workflow issues that we had previously.
As the workload for the laboratory changes through the day, as we get more samples coming in from the community and therefore a higher number of samples presented to our systems, the track is able to manage that workflow and is able to distribute the samples across the systems attached to allow for the most efficient processing of the samples to the analyzers that have the most capacity at that moment in time. It then allows us to deal with the changes that occur as we get samples in from our regional laboratories that have a different profile to the samples we would receive primarily through the main laboratory. The reliability of the GLP modules allows for us to maintain the system and have a consistent service delivery both throughout the changes of workflow through the day and throughout our week. The robustness of the modules and the ability for them to continue operations allow for the staff to focus their time on the tasks that are required, and we do not have to intervene in the operations of the track. In addition to our routine workflow, we are able to handle our stat urgent critical samples by streamlining the way the GLP track works and the priority of samples that are loaded. We can put a lot of our urgent work and stat work through the GLP track to allow for consistency of loading and workflow for these samples, which will be prioritised ahead of any routine samples that exist on the track. In the biochemistry department, we have one scientific staff member that oversees the GLP track and attached analyzers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are able to monitor everything that goes on with the track from a central command bench. With the implementation of the GLP system, our staff have been able to focus on a lot more of the tasks that have a higher clinical impact. They are not having to manually load and unload analyzers or manually store samples, which therefore means they can focus more on tests that require a higher level of manual intervention. They're able to spend more time focusing on the clinical delivery and being able to have a higher level of service to the doctors to assist them in diagnosing what is presenting with their patients. The familiarity of our staff with Abbott systems allowed us to be able to transition quickly across to the Alinity systems. The large sample menu that is available through the Alinities, as well as the reliability of specific assays, played a part in the choice.
The lab was designed the way it is now to improve the whole workflow from specimen reception all the way through to the clinical area of the lab. We wanted to improve our overall efficiency and our turnaround times, so we spent a lot of time looking at the layout and the floor plans to ensure that we could maximise the GLP and the Alinity systems within clinical diagnostics department.
The choice of the Alinity C and I systems was in part because of the smaller footprint of these analyzers, allowing us to maximise the amount of modules that we could provide into a smaller laboratory space.
We chose the Alinity C and I systems for our laboratory due to the fact that we could add or subtract modules and change the way they were laid out within the laboratory as required. There's also less maintenance required with the Alinity C and I systems as well, and that was a positive for us going forward.
The key aspects that we had to take into consideration in designing the track and the analyzers that were attached to it was the shape of our existing laboratory space and the other disciplines that already had to work within that frame. We also wanted to have an integrated flow from our specimen reception area all the way through to the final clinical release of results so that there was a streamlined workflow.
With the GRP and Alinity system, we will have the flexibility to actually add different modules to the instruments we already have. We can also improvise and change the structure of the track if we need to.
In the future, we see our laboratory increasing in its workload and adapting to new technologies, new instruments, and new disciplines being added to the clinical diagnostics department.
We have the flexibility to extend the track into haematology or other departments into the future as our business needs change and hopefully as they grow.